Hello, explorers, and welcome to Q&A episode 47 of Unbroken. I'm Alexandra Amore. Thank you for being here with me today. I appreciate it. So before we kick off today's subject, which is how is our thinking like television, I wanted to do a couple of quick housekeeping items. So, the first one is that we're coming up to a year of Unbroken podcast, which is very exciting. I started on February 14th, 2023, and this episode that I'm recording now will go out on January 8th, 2024. So, almost a year of episodes and 47 Q&A episodes and 47 interview episodes, and I'm really proud of everything that I accomplished in this past almost year. And I've sort of been, as we do, I've been contemplating things over the holiday time. I had a few days off. And what I realized is that I have some projects that I'd really like to work on in this coming year, and that releasing 2 podcast episodes a week is a bit of an impediment to that. It's a lot of work recording 2 episodes per week. So what I'm going to do is change the schedule up a little bit and switch to 1 episode per week. So starting the week of January 15th, there will just be 1 episode of Unbroken each week on Thursday. And I'm going to alternate between interview episodes and this type of solo show that I do where I talk about what I'm seeing and the insights that I've had and what I'm observing and that kind of thing. So yeah, like I say, that'll start the week of January 15th. So what's that? 16th. So January 18th will be the first of that kind of episodes, and it'll actually be an interview with I think it'll be with Dr. Gail Brenner. So you can keep your eyes and ears open for that. And then what else? What other housekeeping did I have? Oh, yes. So I've talked a little bit lately about being in the back of the spiral. If you've listened to previous episodes, I've mentioned that a couple of times. And I've come out of the back of the spiral. So that's exciting news, and I'm really thrilled about it. So I think what I'll do is I'll talk about that on the first solo episode after I make this schedule change. So that'll be later in January, maybe the 18th or something like that, I think. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, so I'll go talk about what that was like for me, the insights that I had, the things I've seen, and yeah, what it meant to me to be, I'll just sort of go over again what it meant to me to be going through the back of the spiral, and how, even on the darkest days, it was nice to know that it was just a natural part of the learning and growing process, like I talked about on a previous episode. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so today I want to get into this metaphor that I heard recently and how I think it relates to the inside out understanding. And this was a metaphor that I heard from a man called Bruce Grayson. And he's actually a scientist who specializes in near-death experiences, if you can believe it. It had absolutely nothing to do with the 3 principles or the inside-out understanding. I heard him on Leanne Brooke Tyler's podcast called Waking the Wild. And then I also heard him on another episode or another podcast, and I can't remember whose it was, but really interesting guy, really fascinating studies that he's done about near-death experiences and what people experience when they have that kind of a situation that goes on. But none of that matters based on, or according to, or, for this episode of Unbroken. What does matter is he used this really great metaphor. So I'm going to borrow that metaphor from him. And he was talking about And actually, you know what? I can't even remember how he was talking about this or what it meant to him. Excuse me, but he had this great metaphor about television and how when we watch a television, and these days, of course, we watch a lot of things on our laptops too, TV shows and stuff like that, movies, we know that whatever's going on the show isn't happening inside the TV set or inside the computer. We know for sure from probably a pretty young age, maybe not super young, but eventually we figure it out that those aren't little tiny people walking around inside the TV set. You know, they don't live in there. That the show is actually being broadcast from somewhere else. It's coming into the television set from somewhere else. And when Bruce Grayson shared this metaphor, I thought, oh, that's really close to, or a really good description of our experience of thinking as well. And the reason I say that is because our experience of thinking is coming to life within us, but it is coming to life from somewhere else. It's a spiritual energy that's coming to life, coming into us and then creating our experience via consciousness. And that's how we're experiencing the world. And one of the things I thought of that was parallel, oh, that's the word I was looking for earlier, that was parallel to this metaphor that he was using, was that everything that, so for example, I was watching over the holidays the show Slow Horses, which is based on a series of books. It's a show on Apple TV, and it's mostly set, well, actually entirely set in the UK, mostly set in London. And what I reflected on was that when I'm watching that show, and it's based in a place like London, in a way, I know that I'm not experiencing London as it really is. I'm experiencing what the television show is showing me about London. But I don't think that that's all that London is just what they're showing me. And when it comes to our thinking, there's a real similarity in that we are only ever experiencing what we're thinking. And it's kind of a paradox, but we can never really be experiencing what's going on outside of us. Everything that's happening, whether it's our boss or our coworker or our flat tire on our car or our experience of food, we're only ever experiencing what's going on in our thinking. So the parallel to this television metaphor would be like if you were never able to visit London, and the only way that you were ever able to experience London was through a screen, so through a television screen or through a computer screen if you were looking at Google Maps or Google Earth, I guess it's called. I sound like an old person. And that's the only way you could experience London. That's similar to what's going on when we are experiencing anything in the world, because we experience it via our thinking. And when we're new to this understanding, it can be a little bit challenging to get our heads around how that might work. But pretty quickly, we can see that that's actually the truth. And one of the easiest ways that we can see that is true is that you can just simply go to a movie and ask, with a friend or a group of friends, and ask them all at the end what they thought of the movie, and you'll get several different opinions, right, about that, what that was like. And we can do that about a meal or about a day out in a city or about a conversation with somebody. If I'm having a conversation with somebody and there's somebody there with me listening, their experience of what happened can be completely different than my experience. And what that points to is what's going on with our thinking, where our experience of life is coming from. It's coming from thought. It's coming from the thinking that we have about that situation. And like I say, yeah, it's a bit, it can take a bit to get our heads around this. And the thing that I found still find too, a little bit perplexing is that so there's no real reality, there's no absolute truth about anything because we are only ever experiencing our thinking about that thing. And so I bring this up because when it comes to resolving an unwanted habit like overeating, when we begin to see the impact that our thinking is having on us, especially when we're unaware of where it's coming from, and we begin to notice the natural movement and rhythm of our thinking, that it can get stirred up, but that it is designed to settle down again automatically. And that, as Dick and Bettinger said on last week's Thursday episode, we tend to be in one of two states. We're either really caught up in our thinking or we're not. We're in a more peaceful place. And of course, that exists on a spectrum. And he was simplifying it for us so we could see what was really going on. So it's like, would we say that? Yeah, maybe we could. We could say the television screen, in this television metaphor, is either on or it's off. And when it's on, it has the power to create all kinds of experiences in us. And this is just like a television or a movie screen as well. We can be sitting on a couch eating popcorn, very comfortable in our pajamas, and we can be terrified, or we can be crying our eyes out or laughing, all those things being generated not from people who are in the room with us or real experiences, quote unquote, that we're having, but from what's happening on the screen. And that's exactly the same as our thinking. Consciousness makes it so vivid, our experience, and that's its job. It's designed, we are designed to experience life this way, of course. Otherwise, it would be a lot less fun. And just like that TV screen, it can create all kinds of experiences within us, everything on the emotional spectrum. So I just thought I would mention that metaphor. It really caught my interest when I was listening to Bruce Grayson on those podcasts, and I thought it was a really good one to help if you are at the beginning or even the middle of getting your head around this inside out understanding. So I hope that was helpful for you today and that you were doing well and taking care. And I will see you. There won't be another short episode next Monday, just a reminder. And we will go to a Thursday only schedule from now on, alternating between interviews and then episodes like this where I share what I've been seeing. So take care, and I will see you next time. Bye.